All right. Good evening, folks. Thank you for jumping on the call tonight. I see we've got quite a few people, almost 30 people. That's awesome. And again, just to recap, this is going to be a very, I think, abbreviated kind of, I don't want to say abbreviated, but it's not going to be a full in-depth kind of review of the side judge and field judge positions. This will be primarily focused on just going through the mechanics kind of top to bottom for the side judge and the field judge per the TASO mechanics. And then at the end of that, we will show some videos, some video examples of some good stuff and some not so good stuff from a side judge and a field judge perspective. And then after that, we'll open it up for any questions. If you have any questions during this presentation, please type them in the chat window and I will do my best to get them answered. I do apologize. I had somebody who regularly works as a side judge and field judge plan to present with me tonight to help me out a little bit. I think I still know enough about the positions and the mechanics that I can talk to it pretty credibly. So bear with me on that, and I'll answer your questions as soon as possible. Unfortunately, the person that's going to be with me had a unplanned family issue come up that they had to attend to. So without further ado, I will go ahead and get started. So the agenda tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about what is the benefit of having a side judge and a field judge. What are your pregame responsibilities? What do you do during the coin toss? What are we doing during free kicks? What are we doing during scrimmage plays? What are kind of your pre-snap keys, specifically based on the different types of formations and as it relates to possible passing plays? We'll talk about scrimmage kicks for punts and scrimmage kicks for field goals and tries. We'll talk about measurement responsibilities. And then we'll go into some video review, and then we'll do a quick wrap up and answer any questions that anyone may have. If someone can just put in the chat box they can hear me okay, that would be great, just so I can make sure that I'm close enough to the microphone. Thank you, Tim. Howard. Okay, so how does the side judge and field judge improve our officiating? So I think many of us on this call are experienced officials, it looks like, and I think we all have seen a huge benefit from going from 5-man to 7-man crews. And the side judge and the field judge greatly improve, I think, our ability to be a better crew and officiate the game. So it gives us more consistent area coverage. We've got 2 extra set of experienced eyes on the field with us, positioned to help out to cover areas that would be harder to cover in just a 5-man crew. Better detection of infractions and enforcement of rules. We got 2 more people to make sure the crew's getting it right. Better sideline control, because we've now doubled the number of officials on the sideline to hopefully keep that area clear. We also got 2 other officials now to do preventative officiating. And I would say that the side judge and field judge have to do a lot of that, simply just because they get to see a lot of stuff, a lot of chicken fighting that I would say the short flanks may not be able to see, and they can always come in and clean that up and talk people off fouls, hopefully. We do get improved coverage on the backside of the play as well as dead ball officiating. And then easier ball mechanics on deep pass plays and punt coverage, because we actually have now 2 officials that are deeper downfield. So that greatly improves, I think, the efficiency of the crew to be able to officiate the game and administratively control the game as well. I will say this, some people say, well, 2 more officials means a lot more flags. And actually, statistically, that is not really proven out. It's very similar number of flags thrown in a 5-man game and a 7-man game. So what are your responsibilities as side judge, field judge? So the side judge and the back judge, you are going to instruct the clock operators a minimum of 60 minutes before the kick. And then the side judge will have clock duties if there's no on-field clock. So if you're a side judge, better have a good timing device. Bring it with you to every game. I would say practice, even though you're not going to be a side judge in sub-varsity, I would practice in your sub-varsity games trying to keep the time on the field just so that you get used to it. And then both the S and the F are going to monitor team areas, maintain the buff. You're going to maintain a buffer between both teams as they're warming up. You're going to, accompany and assist the head linesman and the line judge with directions for the chain crew, and then accompany and assist instructions for the ball boys. And then you're going to bring the captains to the 50-yard line on the team sideline 4 minutes before kickoff. So what does this look like as we line up and we get the captains lined up? You can see remember that the H is going to be on the press box side at the start of the game, just simply because we're going to swap at halftime. So headline judge and the side judge will be on the press box side. And then the line judge, field judge, back judge will be opposite the press box. U and R will be in the middle of the field waiting for the captains to come out. So during the coin toss, the side judge, field judge, you will escort your captains to the 9-yard marks, and then you'll stop while sending them to the middle of the field to the R and the U. We do not want to allow any team members who are not involved in the toss inside the 9-yard marks on your side. We don't always see that the players want to come out there, but from time to time we do. We want to make sure that they do not go beyond the 9-yard marks. And then you can see the responsibilities for the H, L, and B there. I'm not going to cover that too much. But the S and F, you need to be also responsible for securing the second half option from the coach on the appropriate sideline. And, many times we can get this before they go into the locker room, but it's not necessarily required. If you can't, you can certainly get it right as they're coming out in the second half. Now, getting into the free kick. So we've done the coin toss. The next play we're going to be doing is a free kick play. You can see your normal positions here for a normal 7-man crew. So S and F, you will have the receiving team restraining line. And your primary keys are going to be the number 2 and the number 3. And hopefully everyone knows what I'm talking about. So if you look at the top up here, by the U, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 players. It looks like 5 players to the side of the kicker. The number 1 is going to be the one closest to the sideline, number 2, and then number 3 and number 4 as you move in field, and then number 5. So we will refer to them as number 1, number 2, number 3, etc. So as a side judge, you're going to have the number 2 and the number 3. The umpire is going to be looking in beyond that and also taking care of our kicker. Now you'll notice that the number 1 is not covered here. And a lot of times, the only thing I will say on that is if that number 1 is way out wide, really near the sideline, you might be able to take a peek at them as they take off running, but really you're going to be focused on number 2 and number 3. And a lot of times our H and our L can take a quick glance at that number 1 receiver and see if they go out of bounds during the kick before they have to transition to playing the kick. Sometimes they can help you out. So as the kick has been made, you're going to see, your back judge and your umpire are going to banana in here towards the hash marks. And then as the S and the F, we're going to retreat downward 10 to 15 yards and read the play. And remember, you're going to see on the next slide, we're going to have to reverse, but can't turn around and go the other direction as the return continues upfield. And then we have responsibility all the way to the goal line. And I'll talk about that on the next slide. So what are you watching for? You're watching those key receivers in there. You're watching the initial blocking on them, making sure that nobody's grabbing them, pulling them down, making sure we have no blocks below the waist. And then until we can transition to reading the return and then focusing on the keys in our zone. So the F and the S, as a field judge, side judge, you will be counting the team A players. So this would be the kicking team. And you would signal to the all the other officials in the box there with you when you actually have major count. You're responsible for that team B restraining line. We're going to watch for encroachment by team B, and we're going to watch for first touching by team A. And if it's a fairly short kick or a fairly short pooch kick, we might be looking for catch interference as well by team A. And then also keeping an eye out for fair catch signals on pooch kicks and then deeper kicks short of the L and the H. So be alert for short free kicks and balls kicked immediately into ground. Know whether that ball is driven into the ground and only hits once before it pops up. You will move downfield and maintain a cushion. You'll have to reverse field, as I said earlier, because you have responsibility from the A2 to the team A goal line. And then once the play is over, when it's safe to do so, you'll clean up your area and retrieve an old or bring in a new ball for your sideline. Now, we do have a short kick mechanic for 7-man as well. And all this is simply doing is moving the H and the L up off that goal line into the middle of the box here. So they're at the, they would typically be at the A45 on a normal kickoff if there's no penalty relocations. And so now you've got all 6 of those officials in the box to assist with the short kick. and to make any necessary rulings. Your R now will be positioned back behind the deepest receiver. So on a short kick, obviously we all want to be alert for legal and illegal touching. Any early blocks. We've seen examples of that in even championship games where there was fair catches and early blocks. Fair catch signals and fair catch completions, KCIs. Head linesman and line judge will watch for the ball kicked immediately in the ground, whereas the H and the S and the L and the F mechanics are reversed here. And this was a change this year as well to explicitly make this clear. So the S and F will have the team B goal line if kicked deep. So what that means is that, remember, the team B goal line is the goal line in the direction the ball's being kicked. So then you will have, on a long return, you will have forward progress all the way back to the A2, because the H and the L now will have the actual A2 to the goal line. So this is a new mechanics change this year where it's made explicitly that the H will be going deep and covering the goal line to the A2. So we've had a kickoff. Now we're going to transition to scrimmage plays. You can see here, this is our normal starting positions. In the first half, you're just going to see that the H is at the bottom on the press box side and the L's on top, whereas that's going to be reversed in the second half. Same for the F and the S. They switch sidelines as well. Now the S and F, you want to position 20 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. You want to be out of bounds on the sideline. The ball, now if the ball is snapped between the B25 and the B7, you want to position yourself, in this case, on the goal line. And then when that ball gets to the B7 and in to the towards the goal line, you want to position on the in line. And typically what will happen is your H and L will communicate that to you to make sure that everyone understands that the F and the S will be moving to the in line. You're always counting team B. You want to give a closed fist signal to the back judge so all three of you are in sync. You want to know your keys, and we're going to talk about your keys in some upcoming slides as well. And then S, remember, you are always responsible for the time and status of the clock. So like I said, make sure you have a timing device. Take it to every varsity game. You never know when you're going to have a clock outage and you have to keep time on the field. And then, as I said earlier, practice in sub-varsity games so that you're not doing it for the first time in a varsity game. So as I said earlier, on that play at a scrimmage play that snapped inside the B7, you can see the S and the F here now have transitioned to the inline, and the H and the L now are responsible for the goal line. Now, if that ball if they end up getting sacked and they're sacked back by the 10 or 11, that doesn't mean that you will stay on the inline. It means you're now going to move back up to the goal line because the ball is no longer being snapped inside the B7. So it's not a once you go to the inline, you stay on the inline. It actually can change back to where you're coming back to the goal line. So on running plays for the side judge and the field judge, again, you hear this a lot. We talk about man zone ball. So before the snap, you need to definitely identify and read your keys and note the initial actions on and by your keys. But at some point after the snap, you don't have to come off quickly off your keys, but at some point you will, and you'll start officiating your zone and then officiating player action in your zone. And then when the direction of the ball has been established, pass or run, officiate at and around the ball if it's in your zone. Otherwise, you're going to be backside officiating. And that's just as important as officiating where the ball's at, because a lot of stuff can go on the backside. When the ball's dead, you're going to continue to officiate your zone, and always having your head on a swivel, always your head on a swivel, and dead ball officiating. On passing plays, so field judge, side judge, you've got it the easiest, in my opinion, because you will always be focusing on the widest eligible receiver in the formation on your side of the field. That will typically be, we will call that the number one, as we did on the kick plays as well. Back judge will be watching the most inside eligible receiver on the strong side of the field. If it's a bounce formation, the strong side is always considered to be to the line judge side. And yes, that means that the line judge side will be the opposite the press box in the first half, but it will be the press box side in the second half. It's wherever that line judge is. And if they're lined up in quads, as we see here, the B will have the two most inside receivers. And then the H and L will watch the eligible receiver remaining on their side. So let's look at our mechanics manuals. Does a really good job of showing the various formations that you're likely to see. So let's talk about your keys. Again, I think the side judge and the field judge, you have it pretty much the easiest because you're always going to be looking at that widest out receiver. So you can see the S on the top's got the number 1. The back judge, since we've got the strong side in this case is going to be to the H side because we have a tight end and a wide out. So the back judge is going to take that tight end on the H side, and the H will then take the running back in the backfield. That looks like he's still in the tackle box. And then on the bottom, field judge, you got the widest person out there as well. And then your line judge will be looking and taking that running back on his side of the field. I think it's very important as an S and an F for you guys to know really what all three of the keys are for, what all the keys are for everybody on all these plays. It'll just help you understand better what everyone's doing on each play. So now we have a balanced with a double tight end. So we have double tight ends. In this case, the S on top, you're going to have the tight end on your side, and the F, you're going to have the tight end on your side. And then the back judge will also be, since we're going to be considering the strong side defaults to the L, is also going to be looking in at that tight end that the F has as well. And then your H and L will have their backs respectively. So there's a question about what is the position of the S and F when the scrimmage play is inside the 1 yard line. So if you're talking about the B1, inside the B1, you will be on the in line. If you're talking about it's being snapped from the A1, you would be around the 21 yard line. Hopefully that helps. All right, on a double wing, we can see here we've got 2 eligible receivers on both sides of the formation outside the tackle box. So in this case, the back judge is going to consider the L, the line judge side, the strong side. So on top, the S will take the number 1, the H will take the number 2 receiver. And then on the bottom side, the field judge is taking the widest, the back judge is taking the number 2 receiver, and then the L is taking that running back that's inside the tackle box. Okay, so we have a question. What is the position of the S and F when the scrimmage play is inside the 20 yard line? So if you're inside the 20, if you're inside the B20, then you're going to, you got to remember, it said between the 25 and the B7, you're going to be on the goal line. So in this case, if you're in between the 25 and the 7, you're going to be on the goal line. Hopefully that answers your question, Theodore. And I think Rick answered it as well in the text for you. Thank you, Rick. Okay, man in motion. So this is and the good news here really is the man in motion isn't typically, in general, is not going to cause you to come off your key. So what's happening here in this case, let's look at this example. So we have the strength to the headline side. And the S will have the number 1, the B will have the number 2, and then the H will actually be taking the man in motion. And depending on where that man in motion ends up, the H could continue to stay with them, or the back judge could come off of them and then take them. So if that man in motion comes in and stays the number 3, then we can see here that the H will stay with it. But if he gets in and becomes the number 2, then the back judge would actually transition to him. And that could happen very easily going the other way. But initially, the H and the L will pick up the man in motion, especially when they're starting from inside the tackle box. And so you can see here that this man in motion did not make it inside the number 2 receiver, that he remained a number 3 receiver. So at the snap, the H transitioned to the number 2, and the back judge transitioned to the number 3 receiver outside the tackle box, as I was mentioning earlier. No change here for the L and the field judge. Theodore, no need to take photos of each slide. This presentation will be sent to everybody, and this will also be uploaded to YouTube for everybody to review this recording afterwards. So you're certainly welcome to take photos, but I'll send you the presentation so that you have it. Now, when we have trips, okay, what we're going to do here, again, side judge, field judge. In this case, the trips are to the side judge side. you're going to have that number 1 receiver. H is going to take the number 2, and the back judge is going to take the number 3. On the bottom, field judge is still taking number 1, line judge is taking number 2. Again, very rarely will your key ever change at the snap. It's almost always going to be that number 1. Now, what happens when we got quads or a diamond? So you can see here, the S is going to take the widest out. So that'll be the number 1. The H will take the number 2 in the back, and the B will take the 2 closest inside receivers. So that's, you can see the arrows pointing to who those would be. In this case, line judge has nobody. So it can be helping on that tackle and backside officiating depending on how the play goes. Now, if you got quads stacked, in this case, side judge is still going to take the number 1 in front. The H will take the number 2 behind him, or the next one behind him, and then the 2 deepest back will be covered by the back judge. And again, this could very easily be on the bottom side, and it would look the same. The only difference is the L, the F would have that one on the line. The L would have the number 2, and the back judge would still have the number 3 and number 4 behind them. Okay, that gets us through our keys on passing plays. And I can't emphasize enough, you have to study those because you got a couple seconds to really kind of evaluate your keys based on the formation. So you want to be able to like have this click in your mind, really click. And the fact that it's usually the number 1 receiver should make this fairly easy for you. But again, it's very important for you to understand who the other officials' keys are as well. Now let's transition into scrimmage kicks and punts and our mechanics here. So you can see here the normal positioning of the deeps, and I'm going to say the side judge, the back judge, and the field judge. The H and the L, the R and the U. The R will have a specific positioning, but for the most part, nothing different back here near the line of scrimmage. And you can see where the back judge is positioned, and I'll talk about it on the next slide. So we want our F and S to take a position on the same yard line as the back judge. Now, if the ball is snapped inside the 50-yard line, take a position on the goal line. So you can see this ball is snapped at around the A47-ish. So in this case, we would not have to be on the goal line. But if this was snapped from the B46, 47, then we would, as an S and F, take a position on the goal line. You're still counting your Team B players and signaling between the back judge, side judge, field judge. You want to help rule on valid and invalid fair catch signals, KCI, touchback, momentum. And the back judge has the receiver until he turns upfield. Then he becomes the S and F responsibility for progress and the dead ball spot, etc. You have progress all the way to the A2 yard line where you'll hand it off to your H and L. And if the punt return is to the other side of the field, whoever, if it's the other side of the field, be doing that backside officiating and cleaning up the play. All right, on a try and field goal plays. Again, I like 7-man mechanic because we're not leaving the line of scrimmage, one half of the line of scrimmage uncovered where that L has to, in 5-man, the L has to go up under the upright. So another benefit I like is of 7-man is on tries and field goals plays. We have 2 people to help cover the line of scrimmage. So what's going to happen here now is the side judge is going to come in opposite the umpire, and you're going to be watching that interior line play. And remember, there's also a new rule this year regarding defensive players who are not within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage running forward and making what I would say some forceful contact to the offensive line within 1 second of the snap. That is now a foul this year. So as a side judge, you will be helping the umpire to rule on that. You're also going to be watching for pull and shoots and other kind of interior stuff that could happen that would be considered a foul. Leaping is another one that you would want to be aware of as well. Our field judge, you're going to be coming here under the upright, opposite the back judge, and ruling on whether the kick is good or not. And we'll talk a little bit about what happens in the case of a block kick or a fake, for example. So as I mentioned, field judge, you're positioned under the upright to rule on the kick. You're also counting Team B with the back judge and communicating the status of the kick to the B. So if it's a good or no good, and then you'll signal if the kick is good or no good to your side only. Now note, you want to definitely note eligible players eligible receivers in case of a broken play. The good news here is that most of the time, that's the person on the end of the line and the back lined up right behind them. That's the most common try and field goal formation. So it's pretty easy. It's usually going to be about 2 players that you have to remember. And then you will cover the end line if the attempt is busted. So if it's a bad snap, block kick, or a fake, you're going to be covering that end line as you try to get over towards the sideline. Now, side judge, you're going to be positioned as a second umpire. As I mentioned before, you're counting the team A in this case with the referee and the umpire. You're going to be also looking for your eligible receivers, and you're responsible for the goal line inside out. So what that means is you're going to have your short flanks that are also going to be able to come down and rule on the goal line, but you can also, by your position, help rule on the goal line as well. And then after the kick, after this play's over, you want to move in to separate players and make a clean. You want to get a clean getaway for both teams. So sometimes a lot of chippiness can go on after a kick, especially if somebody feels like somebody gave them a little bit too much extra business. Now let's talk about measurements. So for the other officials, not the F and the S, they're going to be following their normal measurement duties. So the field judge and side judge, you will take positions on the sideline that facilitate the spotting of the box and the auxiliary box, and we don't always have an auxiliary box, but if we do, you would help with that, and keeping the sideline clear. Remember that the down box is going to get moved to the line of game stake. Be prepared to move to the spot of the measurement to help keep the area clear. So if players are coming in and bunching up and maybe not giving the referee good view, or the press box is not seeing what's going on, you want to get in there and clear players away so that the crew can actually perform the measurement and the press box can actually see what the referee is signaling. We're going to observe dead ball action around the area of measurement. Just make sure no funny business is going on between the teams. We'll get a new ball if the measurement is outside the hash mark, and that ball will be used to replace based on what's the outcome of the measurement is. We'll take a position again at the sideline and move the boxman to a spot on the sideline where the ball will next be snapped. So if they did get a first down, we're going to move that down box to where the ball will next be spotted. And if it's short, we're just going to move that down box back to where when that referee brings the chain over, we can mark the ball and put the down box where the location is short of the first down. And as I mentioned earlier, get a new ball if the measurement is outside the hash mark. If it's third down or less, just have team A's ball ready. If it was on a fourth down measurement after fourth down, we want to have both team balls ready to go. Okay, that gets me through the mechanics fairly quickly. I didn't get a whole lot of questions. Please don't be shy if you got questions. Hopefully, this was all rehashed for you. Again, this was geared more towards newer crew members who just got on crews, hopefully in this year or last year. And this is just a good walkthrough through the mechanics. I hope that every year you're just getting the mechanics manual out and reading through your duties every year, so you don't forget anything. And also sometimes you might pick up something new that you never recognized before. So it's important to read the mechanics manuals. Like I said, this is being recorded. You can go back and listen to it if you want to as well. So that's all the slides I had. I had a few plays I wanted to show you, and I'll switch over to that and get started on that if there's no questions. Okay, let's just, I got some examples here of plays that I've captured that kind of involve the field judge and the side judge. Some of it's good, some of it's areas for improvement. We're not going to cover every technical detail that you guys will be doing, sideline cleanup, things like that. That's stuff that you're going to have to continue to work on in scrimmages and in your games. But I hope you take something away from these videos as well. Okay, first one is play 8. And this is talking about, and this is a common thing for side judges and field judges, keeping a buffer between, well, that's not good. There's a problem loading the video. Let's give it a second here. Is keeping sufficient buffer so you can still keep your eyes on the play, but also not get too close, because that could be a danger to you. And it's also taking you out of position to officiate. So you got a deep run here. You can see the field did not a bad job. Probably wanted to turn your hips and run downfield a little bit more. You've got players behind you. You want to be killing, first of all, you want to be killing the clock wherever the play went out of bounds. You've also got a flag down. I'll replay this a couple times. Probably wanted to turn their hips and start running with your head looking back a little sooner. Overall, not bad. You did stay in front of the play. I would also say, do you have a foul here? Not questioning whether you have a foul here. Maybe a horse collar, it looks like. No need to like throw an angry flag. You want it, you can kill your clock. You can throw your flag, kill your clock. Again, you got players out of bounds. You want to keep your eyes on them. And you can get that cleaned up fairly quickly and then transition down and give the, if you don't have a radio, give your referee what your call is. So again, a lot of these plays are going to be talking about keeping a good buffer between you and the action that's coming towards you as you are progressing downfield, and in many cases towards the goal line. All right, next one. This one's a little, again, this is, if I remember right, a very good, this is, I think was a state championship game, if I remember right. This is what we don't want. I don't know who this crew is. This is not one of our crews. But I think we need to be sure that if we're going to play deep flanks, we're going to be running the goal line a lot. Now watch this deep flank on the bottom. He doesn't even try. So this looks like the field judge. He just backs up, lets them run right by him. And what's wrong with this? Well, a couple things could happen. There could be some action on the front of this that we may not see. Yeah, we get the back judge is doing a great job. Looks like he's hustling, going to get to that goal line. We could have a very close play on the pylon here, and this official is 19, 20 yards away and would have to rule on that. If this official, I mean, I could even live with this if this official was trailing the play a couple yards. I'd still rather him be ahead and standing off the goal line to be able to rule on it. This is just out of position, and this is what we don't want to do. We do not want to just have cement boots and stay on the sideline and just watch the action go by us. So let's watch a play where we do have good hustle, I think, by one of our deep flanks here. And I'll try to play these plays multiple times. It's not so important that they're perfectly clear, but I think you can see here we're going to have a pass and a very long run. And you can see that our deep has already turned his hips. His head is backwards. He's watching the play come towards him. Gets to the goal line about the same time. Makes a great call here for the receiver stepping out. Looks confident. Great job. That's what we want in these cases where we get, and folks, these players are fast. You have to use that 20-yard buffer to your advantage. You've got to know when to turn your hips and get on your horse and keep your head pointed back, watching the action come towards you. Great job here by the back judge and by the, I don't know if that's the side judge or the field judge, but that's what we want to strive to do on those long plays. Okay, a couple more here. Let me check my chat box here real quick just to make sure we don't have any questions. All right, hopefully everyone is seeing the videos okay. Okay, this is another example of why throughout the game, and we have to start early, we have to manage our sideline. Now, I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to see, zoomed in, sorry. I'm going to stop it here for a second. Okay, so this deep flank sees that this play is busting and this guy's got a lot of room. So he's backpedaling, which is good. Just look down here inside the third line. You can already see there's something set up there. I don't know if that's the area for the kicker. There's already something that's right up on the edge of the white, maybe even inside the white. And then you can see as we've already got somebody standing in the white right here. Now, the deep flank, as you can see, he sees that this guy's got a lot of room in front of him. So he's turned his hips, he's transitioning, but he's still looking back in, which is good. He's got no other players in his area to worry about. And he's going to be running downfield. And this is why it's important to police that white, that restricted area the whole game. So that, I don't know if these people and this obstacle was there the whole game, but if you're on top of it all game, there's less of a chance of those people creeping in there later in the game. And you're going to see what happens right here. That was a pretty hard collision. I think this official did a great job, again, of hustling. Yeah, he didn't get hurt, which is good. It looks like this person is up. And if you notice, just in front of the person that got he knocked into here in the white, this referee did a good job. He dropped his flag, but he kept officiating. Did a great job. Got up quickly, saw the out of bounds spot, killed the clock. That's a good job. But this is a great example of always be cognizant of who's in the restricted area. Get them back. Cameramen, ball boys, they like to creep up in there, and you don't have the luxury when you're running down that sideline to look in front of you, then look behind you, look in front of you, look behind you. And, we don't want you to get hurt, let alone somebody else get hurt. So as an SNFF, you have to be vigilant about this. All right, let's go to another play. Let's talk about goal line positioning. Okay, so I like that this field judge was near the goal line, but you can see he's probably 2 or 3 yards deep in the end zone. Should have just been straight off, so should have been down here somewhere. Straight off the goal line, looking straight down the goal line. So if you've got the goal line, hold the goal line. There's no reason to drift into the end zone. You've already got a back judge already up there looking at that end line. You've got this goal line and you've got this sideline. So you're just kind of putting yourself out of position if you have a very close play near the goal line. I'll play it again. No doubt, you got the call right, but just odds on, we want to make sure we're in the best position because we never know when that play is going to be a bang bang play right on the goal line, and the better your positioning, the better you're going to rule on that. Okay, we got another one here showing some good hustle by one of our deep flanks. And this is what we want it to look like. Again, long run, or this is actually be a long pass and run. Good job. You can see in the bottom here, side judge. He's getting there. He's getting there. Almost gets there at the same time. Great job. Closer he was, the better you're going to rule on it. Great job by the back judge as well, getting to that goal line. Excellent hustle. Even on the top, we've got somebody running down, cleaning up backside action, which is good. A good hustle on by both back judge and the side judge here. Here we got another play focusing on, again, trying to keep good buffer. I don't know, this might be that same game that we watched earlier. So okay, so you can see here, this official is just not even trying. Just sitting here watching, basically this runner run right by him. This is what we don't want. Now, did anything go wrong there? Probably not, but we want that official to turn his hips, stay in front of the runner, or at least equal with the runner and get to the goal line so you can make a ruling there just in case something funny happens. Great job by the back judge, though, sitting on that end line. Looks like I do give the F credit. He's given the thumbs up to the back judge to know that he has no issues with the sideline. But again, we do not want to officiate this way as an F and an S. Okay, another goal line play here we're going to look at about getting better positioning on the goal line. Okay, we're good right there. There's really not a whole lot that this deep flank has to do anymore. He's there, but what does he do? He keeps backing up. So he's off the goal line now, and he's 2 yards deep in the end zone. Now, might have got the call right, but again, it's about putting ourselves in the position to make the best ruling. And again, if this was a very close play, and let's say that pass is caught on the inside near the goal line, we're not in the best position to be able to make a ruling. when we're deeper in the end zone than we should be. Okay, a couple more videos. This is going to be positioning on a long pass play. Okay, so we can see here, we got a long pass coming in, and you can see that pass is coming in right to this receiver. This person, this flank up here has already given up their buffer. Their 20-yard buffer is gone. These players are running. This player is slowly backing up. There's no way they're going to be able to maintain their buffer in front. And then the other thing we got down here, look at this. We have two people standing in the white. Now, I don't know if they've been doing that whole game, but that's why we want to be vigilant, as I mentioned about before. I venture to say that these people have probably been in the white multiple times. We want to be warning them all the time. So let's watch the rest of this play here. Okay, so fortunately, it ended up being an incomplete pass. But if this pass was caught, there's no way that this flank here, this deep official up here is going to be able to keep up with them or get ahead of them and rule on a goal line. So don't give up your buffer. You got a 20-yard buffer. Maintain it and keep it. You can always close in later. Okay, let's look at some free kick mechanics on 7-man crews, especially as it relates to the F. This is more just a 7-man thing that I want to harp on. This is not so much an F and S issue as it is a crew issue. But as the F and S, you should be able, if you recognize it, you should be able to tell the other crewmates, hey, this is not a valid formation. Remember, there is no alternate short kick mechanic for 7-man. I'm going to stop it right here. So this kick is in the air. I think it ends up going out of bounds. And we have the referee at the 2-yard line, probably came off the goal line, should have been in the middle of the end zone. Your H and your L, I don't know which one's which, I don't know if this is first or second half, are up here about the 15-yard line. They both need to be on the goal line pylon. So in 7-man, don't let your crew do this. Speak up and say, hey, this is not an approved mechanic. We shouldn't be doing it. All right, number 60 here. This is about knowing your zone and knowing what fouls you're going to be throwing flags on. So we got a try, or we got a, not a try, sorry, we got a play from the B3 here. So if you notice, our official up here on the top should be where? It should be 45 degrees off of this top pylon up here. Don't know if he's backing up. We'll see it when I push the play button, but should not be standing here, and I hope that they're not, but they should be back over here. So as the deep flank on the bottom side, which you can't see, you're going to have this receiver out here. This is going to be your key. This will be the number 1 receiver. So whoever's off the screen here on the end line, whether it's the F or the S, I don't know, this will be your key here. So it looks like this flank on the top here is slowly backing up. I would rather see you just hustle, get 45 degrees off that pylon. So we're going to get a holding in the backfield by the deep official over here. That's not your key. Your key is this number 1 over here. There's no really need for you to be focusing in the backfield over here to throw this flag. I'll play it again. I don't even know if it's a holding I would have called, but there was a little bit of a hold right there. But this pass was thrown so quick, I don't think we had anything to throw on there. All right, and then one more. This is more about an interesting scrimmage kick on a field goal mechanic. This is a 7-man crew. I want to just let them get set up here. Let's see, then I'll wait for this play to get blown in. Okay, this play's blown in. I'm going to stop it. Now let's look and see what we have here. I think the only there's a couple people here in the right position. The referee, well, in a 7-man is in the wrong position. The umpire appears to be in the backfield. We've never had a mechanic where an umpire is in the backfield on a scrimmage kick. That's a field goal or a try. looks like our side judge is standing on the sideline up here on the top. Our umpire, again, is in the back. We got nobody behind Team B here ruling on contact with the snapper, ruling on leaping, ruling on any pull and shoot. So we have a lot of people out of position here. And the line judge, no idea why they're standing 7, 8 yards on the field at the snap here. So again, just be cognizant of what type of play it is, where you're supposed to be. Side judge, I don't have any clue why you're standing on the 2-yard line. I have no idea why you would ever do that. So it looks like the kick was good. So they got lucky here. Nothing crazy happened, it looked like. But just remember, again, speak up if you're on a crew. Don't be afraid just because you're the F and the S and you might be new to the crew. Say, hey, I don't think this mechanic's right. Are we sure we're doing this right? You know, it's okay to question things and ask questions. Okay, I got a couple more videos and then we'll wrap it up for Q&A. These deal more with, as the F and the S, you are watching the receiving team restraining line, specifically making sure that no receiving team is offside at the kick. And it very rarely happens, but we still are ruling on that. And I got a couple plays, one play I want to show you where we don't want to get too technical on this. Okay, I'm going to stop it here. So you can see this normal 7-man crew. You've got your umpire, back judge up here on the kicking team restraining line. And you got the F and S down here on the receiving team restraining line. So if you notice this player in the middle here, standing in the hash marks from the bottom of the screen, he's got his foot on the white line. He's not over. I mean, is his head over? Yeah, probably a little bit. But I'm not going to get too ticky-tacky on this. Especially this ball gets kicked deep. And you can see the S there. You probably didn't see it, but the S dropped his flag for kicking team or receiving team offside. Not only that, didn't go down 10 yards and then reverse. Basically threw the flag and gave up. I'm going to play it again. This is a little too technical to call for a play like this. You might get this technical if it's an obvious onside kick attempt, but don't get technical on a normal kickoff like this. Okay, that wraps up all the videos. Let's see what we have here. Looks like there's a question from Eric. We are keying the outside receiver, and if they run a stop, but a receiver from the other side runs a deep cross and is throwing the ball, and we can't catch up the sideline, you've got the key for a few counts, and then you go to zone if your key leaves the area. That's correct. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. And again, if you've got a deep pass on the other side of the field away from you, yes, you're still progressing down the field. But remember, you're backside officiating more than anything as you're progressing downfield. If that ball is clearly on the other side, way over on the other side of the field, whether it's a long run or a long pass. So I want to thank you. Looks like we had a great turnout, 52 folks. I hope you got something out of it. Again, this was meant to not be a overly technical presentation. It was really more to just walk you through the mechanics, remind you of what you're supposed to be doing, what you're doing at each play, what your keys are at each play, and then showing you some videos of some good stuff that we want to see out of you and some not so good stuff. So, it's always about improvement and watching video, reading the mechanics manuals and the rules. If you got any questions, ask your mentor, or ask your crew chief, or even ask anybody else in the chapter that you trust. So I want to wish every one of you great luck this year in this season. We're less than 2 weeks away from kickoff. I hope everyone has a successful scrimmages, stays hydrated. It's pretty hot out there. I did 2 scrimmages in the last 2 days, so it'll zap the energy out of you pretty quick. So stay hydrated all week for the upcoming scrimmages and as well as for the upcoming season. Best of luck to everybody. I'll have this recording posted within the next 24 hours, and slides will be sent out as well, or at least a link to the slides will be posted as well for you. So if there's no other questions, I will give back everybody 10 minutes. We finished 10 minutes early, so hopefully that means that everybody understood what we were talking about. All right, thanks again, everybody.